Hello, my name is Laura Stepelkuski, and I am one of the counselors from the New Jersey Hope and Healing Crisis Counseling Program provided by the Mental Health Association of Essex and Morris. Today, for our Mindful Mondays, we're going to be talking about Zentangles, a self soothing ritual. On top of being a counselor, I'm also an art therapist, and Zentangles are something that I use personally to cope with anxiety, feelings of stress, or when I'm simply feeling overwhelmed. I've definitely used them quite often during the pandemic to just help me through all that is going on in the world. First, we're going to just talk a little bit about the history behind a Zentangle. So, Zentangles were originated and trademarked by Rick Roberts and Mary Thomas in 2003. However, the basic principles are as old as art itself, mirroring the designs and patterns of Maya culture, Maori culture, Celtic, and American Indian cultures. Traditionally, Zentangles are created using only paper and black ink. They also typically are created on 3.5-inch square tiles of special paper, meaning thick paper like cardstock or just something with a little weight to it so it feels a little bit heavy. They are utilized in therapy, education, motivational training, and more. They're all about connecting mind to paper. They are used for stress reduction, relaxation, to increase inner focus, reinforce aimlessness, exercise the brain, and they stimulate creativity, which is I know has been very helpful for many during this pandemic. When we talk about reinforcing aimlessness, we think about creating with intention, but not thinking too much about a goal or where it's going to end up. If we compare it to going for a mindful walk, we're not always thinking about where we're going to end up on that walk, but just each step and being present in that moment. So the same thing goes for creating Zentangles. We're creating with intention, with each step, with each pattern, but we're not concerned about what the product is going to end up looking. This is just an example on this picture here of the Zentangle I created. One of the greatest things about Zentangles is that they are self-soothing. When we think of self-soothing, we often think of drinking a hot cup of tea, taking a warm bath or a hot shower, going for a walk, or watching something that we find funny. Developing self-soothing techniques increase our distress tolerance. The creation of Zentangles soothes our minds, keeps us focused and intentional. Also, working in repetition itself is found to be very calming. But isn't this just doodling? Some people may look at these Zentangles and think, that's the doodling that I used to do in school, or maybe I do it during meetings or during class. Doodling is what we often do when our minds wander. So if we start to get a little bored, we make unintentional marks in the paper. Zentangles, however, involve intentional marks, shapes, designs, and patterns. They require us to be mindful, pay attention to what we're doing, and focus. I wanted to include some design inspiration because sometimes when we create these Zentangles, we may feel overwhelmed with what patterns, shapes, or designs to add. These can be found online and on YouTube. If you search on YouTube for a Zentangle tutorial, they will walk you through some of these designs, and it can be soothing to watch in itself. A lot of the designs are taken from nature, sometimes just what we see, patterns we see in fabrics or woodwork. I am personally drawn to the designs that are taken from nature, such as leaves, flowers. Keep calm and Zentangle on. Before we go into the creation of the Zentangle, I just wanted to briefly talk about our program. So again, this program is brought to you through the New Jersey Hope and Healing Crisis Counseling Program. The Crisis Counseling Program is provided by the Mental Health Association of Essex and Morris in collaboration with the New Jersey Department of Human Services, Division of Mental Health and Addiction Services, Disaster and Terrorism Branch, and is funded through a FEMA SAMHSA grant. These are our contact numbers. You can either call us or text us, and this is the email address for our team leader, Janaea Palmer. We provide brief emotional support individually over the phone or over Zoom. We also provide several virtual groups that run throughout the week. So please reach out to us if you'd like more information about this or to set up a session. All right, let's get started with a Zentangle. So I don't have cardstock. I actually only have an index card, but I do have a black ink pen that is a little bit thicker. So think maybe a Sharpie. And the first thing we're going to do is create a shape. Sometimes if a large Zentangle seems overwhelming, you can start with a circle or a square, kind of like the patterns that we saw in the presentation. I'm going to start with just kind of a blob shape and go from there. So once you have your shape down, you're going to kind of cut the shape with some strings or lines. You can make the shapes and pieces as small or as large as you want. I like using kind of some curvy lines, but you can use straight lines. And there you go. You can see it's broken up into several pieces. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to start with the design. As I said earlier, I do prefer some designs and patterns that are inspired by nature. And it's snowing out today, so I'm thinking I might go in with kind of a design that resembles snowflakes. So I'm just going to add some snowflakes in a space. And remember, with each line or design that we add, we're doing it with intention. Our minds are focused on these patterns. I'm gonna add some dots so it kind of just looks like a little blizzard in the space. So there you can see I have just one space done. I'll do one more, which is just kind of a basic line, curved line design, which was seen on some of those designs that I shared earlier. Kind of just follow along, filling in the spaces. And there you go. So it's important to remember too that you don't have to fill in every space in one sitting. You can step away from it, take a little bit of time, go back to it over the course of a few days or even weeks. Start small, start big, it's completely up to you. But remember, we're just being intentional with our marks, remaining mindful. And that is how you start and create a Zentangle. I hope you enjoyed this Mindful Monday, and I hope that you can create your Zentangle today.